So the book is really a coming of age story. It is very poetic, but is written in a way that I think that the reader could easily digest it. I finished it in a day and a half. Um, it's not written chapter by chapter. It's kind of written like Act One, Act Two, Act Three. And what I like most about the book is he talks about fear, and he talks about how the fear that his parents and grandparents instilled in him is basically something that he has to face when raising his son. And ultimately, he fears that his son will grow up and be a victim of injustice. He fears living in a world where he sees incidents like Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown and countless others who were um, unalived, and even on camera, no justice was served, right? Regardless of what side of the political debate you may be on, from the perspective of a father fearing not being able to protect his son from these things, regardless of his income level, regardless of his education, regardless that he is a well-known writer, he still can't protect his son from a state sanctioned lynching. And so that was very interesting. He talks about his experiences going to Howard University and how he wants his son to find a place where he can mature and develop. He talks about becoming a father at the age of 24, being poor, not having a lot of resources, moving from DC to living in New York, trying to become a writer. Um, he talks about moving to New York 2 weeks before 2001, September 11th, and he talks about the dichotomy of how he felt just opposed to the terrorism act and how he viewed himself as an American. And later on in the story, he talks about his marriage. He talks about the girls also that he first fell in love with in college, right? And then he leads up to meeting a woman that would become the mother of his child, her growing up in Chicago. He looks at people as though we all have a place inside of us, right? We represent where we're from. Wherever we're from in the world, we carry that with us. The experiences that we experience, we carry that with us, right? It's difficult for us to divorce that from us. And for many of us who went to a HBCU, right? I graduated from an HBCU. Um, an HBCU is uh, a microcosm of different types of people that's so-called black, right? Now, mind you, it's still a lot of people that's not black that attend HBCUs. You have white people, Asians, Indians, East Indians. You have a very diverse group of people that attend HBCUs, right? But the majority of people that attend HBCUs tend to be black or so-called black, right? And he talks a lot about what it's like to be black. What is black? What is white? Is it real, or is it just something that we've all been taught to believe in? He starts off the book without giving too much information in case you want to read it yourself. He talks about being on a news show, and the news anchor asking him a question about his body, his person, and he turns this into a big metaphor about how we as a group collectively and him as an individual have been unable to protect our body in this larger society, right? And he referenced this point throughout the book where during the period of the transatlantic slave trade, our physical bodies were literally taken from us, right? We didn't have control of our persons. He talks about how redlining and segregation we didn't have physical control of our bodies, because if we moved to the wrong neighborhood, bad things can happen to us. He talks about how he had this friend that he went to college with named Prince Jones, who was like this perfect caricature of what a good black person should be, right? He was Christian, he was handsome, he came from a good family, he was well educated, he was smart enough to go to an Ivy League school. He decided to go to Howard at a HBCU, and he was unfortunately unalived by the police, right? And when the story came out, he said that they tried to make it as though the he was the aggressor against the police officer, and really when they researched the story, he was a victim of targeting, that this person followed him from DC into Virginia, and it was a mistake of identity where the police officer was supposed to be looking for a guy who was 5 foot something and 250 pounds, and he ended up attacking and um a man who was 6 foot something, 211 pounds, as he stated. He talks about how that incident transformed the way that he viewed the world. And he realized that it was no justice that could be had, right? That the police officer went unpunished. And he talks about how these things have occurred over and over again, to where we're all so desensitized from it. And he's trying to explain to his 15-year-old son the world that he's going to move into. And the ironic part about the police shooting was that the police officer was black, that the county that it happened in, the sheriff was black. He talks about PG County in DC, and this was a majority black community. So before, people just probably just was thinking that I was making it about one thing. That's how the author did. He turned it on his head and said that the people that committed this heinous act look like the person who they unalived. And so that turned what he thought about the world on his head. Um, he finished the books talking about traveling, and how when he was growing up, traveling to France or traveling internationally never seemed like something that was an option for him, right? Because most of us, right, if you didn't go to the military and if you're just a civilian, sometimes it's easy to think, why would I want to move to or travel to Mexico? Why would I want to go to Europe? Why would I want to go to Africa, right? This is the best country in the world, right? And so he talks about what it was like, him going to France for the first time because his wife went to France, and how that filled her with new energy. And ultimately, he talks about a world of possibilities and opportunities that's available to this current generation, but at the same time, we're still battling things of the past, the stigma of the past, and things that we carry within us. So the name of this book is Between the World and Me. I considered it I give it a 4.7 out of 5. It's a nearly perfect read. I guess the only thing that I would say is that it ended, right? But it was a really good book, and I would definitely suggest it to anyone else. If you haven't, please like, share, subscribe, comment below what you think, and tell me what book you're reading. I would love to know. Peace.